the reasons why I became so passionate about this condition is because it happened to me. It happened to me when I was, I believe, 19 or 20 years old for the first time when I was in medical school. I was studying very hard. I wanted to complete 2 years of medical school in one. I wanted to like graduate and have money and be independent financially and live a little bit more easily. And I love being a doctor and I love to study. So I wanted to do it faster. And then I was also working because obviously I had to pay for medical school. So my God, I was sitting and working and studying for so many hours a day. I was not exercising. I was not having fun. And then what did it start to happen to me? I started having panic attacks. I had a couple, but at that moment, like I'm there, and all of a sudden I feel that I'm losing control. My vision is going dark. I'm having fatigue and sweating and palpitations, and I feel that I'm gonna die, right? I'm having a lot of functional symptoms of various organs, right? My vision goes dark, sweating, heart racing, palpitations. I feel that I'm going to die, lack of energy. So it happened once for a few seconds, maybe a minute or two, and then it went away, and I'm like, maybe my blood sugar, this and that. Anyways, it went away, and it happened a week later, and I lived across from the hospital, and I ran with my mother across the hospital. I thought I had a serious illness, and then I was lucky enough that there was a medical resident. This was at night. It was 9 or 10 p.m. I was still studying. I was lucky enough, there was a medical resident in the emergency room, and he asked me, what did you do? What's going on in your life? He knew immediately what was happening. And he told me, Yadira, you're having panic attacks, my dear. You're working too hard. You're studying too hard. You're not resting enough. You're not having fun enough. You're overwhelming your brain and your body. And then he told me, and I'm like, this is so interesting. Totally subconsciously, how the mind and the body work together to send you alarm signs that you are not living a good life and you're pushing yourself too hard. And that was the first time it happened to me. And I'm like, wow, it is so amazing how our mind and our bodies and our emotions too, because I was feeling overwhelmed and I didn't even realize, and I was feeling sad and lonely because I was not socializing. So mind, body, emotions, and environment, of course, my gym, my classes, influences from other people, like also pushing me to finish a little bit faster, right? So it's the four bodies that we're going to be talking about throughout the course, how it works together. And I always tell my patients, functional neurological disorder is a wake-up call that there is something in your life that you can heal and you can be happier and you can flourish into your most amazing self and enjoy life at its fullest. At its fullest. So what did I do after the resident told me that, the medical resident in the emergency room? I'm like, okay, I'm not taking these classes anymore. I'm going back to the gym and I'm going to have more fun with my friends. And the panic attack never again came back. And we're going to talk about it is so important to recognize it early and diagnose it early and make the changes in your life early to get better and for it not to come back. Anyways, fast forward, I don't know, 10 years later, And I finished medical school and I'm doing my residency. Yeah, first year of neurology residency. Maybe fast forward 6 or 7 years because medical school is 6 years. Uh, and then, oh my God, neurology residency, particularly the first year, was so stressful. We had so many patients to take care of. And I'm running around and I'm worried because some of the patients are ill. So I need to like do everything fast and review the test results and change the medication orders and order the following tests and examine them and talk to them and family members. And there were so many patients and I consider myself a very caring doctor. So I want to do, and a little bit perfectionist. So I want to do everything perfect and everything fast so everyone is well taken care of. And what did it start to happen? I started to feel that pressure that I told you a moment ago in my throat. My throat wanted to close and my chest was so tight. And I'm like, what is this? Am I going to have a panic attack? I'm sorry. Am I going to have a heart attack from so much stress? So I sit there because I already know the mind, body, emotion, environment connection. So I sit for a moment and I try to take a few deep breaths and the sensation goes away. And then I know what is happening. It's a functional neurological symptom. It's a signal of your organism, your mind, your body, your emotions that you are, that I was overworked, overdoing it, stressed out. You see, it's on a spectrum. So what did I do? Well, I was very sad that weekend. I went home crying and crying because it was so much work. And how could I reduce my workload and continue to be in residency? But then after a lot of thinking, I found ways of modifying my workflow and finding shortcuts and using technology to my benefit. So I just made a lot of changes that actually they were adopted by a lot of my colleagues to make my work more efficient. And then that symptom still comes back when I am on call, when I have a lot of stress. That's why I'm saying it is on a spectrum. It is on a spectrum and is signals that your body sends you. Now, what happens is that if you do not recognize the meaning of the signal, if you don't recognize the functional, the dysfunction that is taking place within your organism because of, and we're going to talk about the cause, because of the cause. Let's just leave it open for now. If you don't recognize the connection to the cause and how the causes affect our entire well-being, then you will not be able to make the changes. And sometimes, I mean, I knew because I am a physician, most of you most likely don't have medical training, and it will be much harder, almost impossible for you to recognize it by yourself, like, oh, this is my mind and my body and my heart rate is going up, right? Because you don't know. And why would you know? You have not received the training. So you depend on medical doctors. And we're going to talk during subsequent sessions about the limitations of the medical fields that have perpetuated some of the symptoms for some of you. But it is important to recognize the bodily sensations. What do they mean? What message do they carry?